We go through the good news, the scorecard, and then we get into our rock review. And Andy, we actually just spent 2 days last week going through our fourth quarter rocks, which we won't dive into that whole process because that's a whole separate meeting. But just walk through kind of that rock review and why that's important to check in on that every week throughout the quarter.
Yeah, so these are your bigger goals that, again, you have identified that is going to help grow your business. And so in order to meet those goals, the four of us as the leadership team, we have to really look at them and see, where are we at? Are they on track? Are they off track? Was this an unrealistic rock maybe? And so just being able to look at them every week, it keeps it in your mind, top of mind, basically, of where we need to go.
Yeah, and I should explain rocks. I mean, those are the most important milestones essentially for your business. And I think every business at any level, even if it's just you should have three, and less is more typically, based on all this advice I've heard, you should have like three main priorities for your business that quarter where you're going to say, hey, if I can only do these three things, I have to do all my other millions of tasks day to day, but I need to get these three things done in order to progress. And it might be something like, I need to make this key hiring decision by the end of the quarter. I need to narrow down my candidates, or I need to take this specific training. Or it could even be, I need to read this book, like the Get a Grip book, right? By the end of the quarter. I think that's what we mean by these milestone or rock reviews. And then just forcing yourself to look at them every week after you identified the top 3 to 7 things for your company to go forward. So after we go through our rock review, and again, that's just a quick discussion where we just say, is this on track or off track? Then we get into customer or employee headlines. Now, Andy, this one's tough because there's not a lot of customer headlines a lot of times when it comes to e-commerce, especially if you're in arbitrage. For private label, we as a team every Friday on an all teams call hit some of our best product reviews that come through for our brand. But a lot of times on these level 10 meetings, we're more focusing in on our team and some of the employee headlines. Walk through why you think that's important.
Yeah. So, every business, as you grow and as you begin to add more people, that with people, there's a great, there's a very high ceiling. In order for your business to really expand and grow, you got to have people. But with people comes problems. And so, managing those people, human resource issues, as the business grows, it just happens on a weekly basis. So it's a good time that we can talk about not only folks that may be struggling, that we may need to coach up and help, but folks also that are just really crushing it. And many times in these meetings too, we identify like, wow, this, the ceiling on this person is incredible. And we may need to think about moving her into an expanded role, right, in the business.
Yeah, and we actually identify someone within our team, because our team's larger at this point, that we think like did a little bit outstanding the past week, and we like to recognize a person weekly. So we take time to do that. Again, you have to apply this to where you're at. If you don't have a lot of people on your team, you just might recognize something that you yourself did really good over the past week. And again, give yourself a little pat on the back and just take time to reflect on that. So after we spend about 3 to 5 minutes doing that, we just run through our to-dos. So every week, as we are looking at our rocks and getting into our issues list that we'll talk about next, we inevitably identify to-dos that we need to get done between that meeting and the next week's meeting, and just a little bit of an accountability there, right? So most people have some type of task that they have to get done. We try not to make this long. Usually each of us only have like 1 or 2 to-dos for the week that are outside of our normal 100 things we need to get done. These are kind of special to-dos that we want to hold each other accountable for between now and the next week. Any touch on that? Have you felt like it's helped with accountability to have those to-dos in there?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, so I grew up playing sports my whole life, and the teams that were the highest performing teams always had captains or the leaders on that team that were really pushing each other, right? And pushing each other in an encouraging way. And we knew each other's strengths, we knew each other's weaknesses, we knew what we had to get better on, right? And so, the best teams, again, were ones where we would check in and, guys would come over my house and work on hitting, or work on bunting, whatever it would be. And business and in this to-do list, I feel like it's kind of the same way. I actually was at the warehouse this morning before doing this podcast, and I have a to-do that is a quarter long to do. So it's a bigger one. And I sat down with the guys at the warehouse that often get calls from our customers. And I said, hey, look, this is the project I'm working on. You guys are really close to our customers every day. Help me brainstorm. And my specific to do is to come up with better changes for a really good selling product. So our product is really good, but there are things that we can improve on. So I said, hey, let's just brainstorm. If we could have the best of the best, right? What are some features that we would add to this? And that all comes out of that meeting, right? And me knowing that you guys are going to hold me accountable for that to do. So I really appreciate and like that accountability.
I like that. I'm excited to see that list, what comes out from that. So just to review again, we go through good news, scorecard, a rock review, the most important things we need to get done for the quarter, customer and employee headlines, and then to-dos. And all that takes about 20 to 25 minutes. And then we get into the bulk of the meeting, really the most important part that you already referenced, and that's the issue list. And we're just spending a lot of time identifying, hey, what are the, first we look at all of our issues, and then we say, okay, what's the top 3 ones that we should try to work on today?
I think now we have a clear understanding that when we bring up an issue, when it goes on the list, it is going to get solved. So we're going to have to figure it out, and we're not going to continue to talk in a circle. Like oftentimes, again, I've been in meetings where issues come up, right? And nobody will take ownership of, or nobody will say, okay, so-and-so, this is what we're going to do. And so just being able to talk through these, come up with a solution together, and then give very actionable points to whoever is going to have to solve it. That to me is the real deal breaker, I guess, in a meeting. And that's why I get so excited about these level 10s.